Good, how are you?
Good. All right, let's see. Did you send me anything?
I'm sending right now.
Okay. Remember the first time you sent me something and I couldn't see it on my screen? I couldn't download it? Did you do anything?
Yeah.
Did you do anything different? Because the second time you sent it, I got it. I was able to view it. No, it just was something happened, huh? I'm trying to figure out if there's a way that people send me files that where I would not be able to read them. So far, that very first one's the only one I've ever had that I had troubles with. I'm going to start on this one on the left. Looks like that's maybe number 1. Yeah. Can you read that?
Yeah, the graph of a line and the x-y.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, you don't. I didn't mean. Can you read it out loud?
No.
I just saw something that I didn't know existed until just now. All right, that should be a little bit better. I'd like to make that picture go away, but I don't know how to do that. But, I guess I can do that. All right, how are we going to do number 1? So,
I don't know.
well, let's talk about the first line. Okay, can we come up with an equation of that line? We know the slope is minus 1/2, and that goes through the point 0, 5. Well, do you know the point slope formula for an equation?
Yeah, oh wait.
What is it?
That's the one where it's y1, y minus y1 equals times x minus x1.
Okay, so let's substitute. What's y1?
y1 is 5.
Slope?
1/2, or negative 1/2.
X minus 0, so I'm just going to write it as x. So that's the equation of that line. If you like, it's easy enough. I'll put it into slope-intercept format. So that's line 1. Okay. The second line goes through these 2 points. Hold on a second. I'm going to thicken this up a little bit. So that's line 1. The second line goes through 1, minus 3 and 2, minus 1. Now, the one thing you absolutely have to be able to do in algebra is come up with the equation of a line given either 2 points or slope and 1 point. Well, this first one that they gave us was slope and 1 point. This one is 2 points. So what do I need to do first?
Find the slope.
What's the slope in this one?
Negative 3 minus negative 1. Negative minus 1 over 1 minus 2.
And it's okay to go in that order, as long as you go in the same order for the numerator and the denominator.
So it should be negative, or it should be positive 2.
Correct. In other words, this is negative 2 in the top, negative 1 in the bottom, so the slope is 2. So, now let's put that into an equation and compare it to this first equation, and the solution to those two equations will be the point at where they cross, and that will be A and B. And I will add those two solutions together to get A plus B. Okay, so what's the equation of this line going to look like?
It should be y equals 2x minus 5.
Where'd you get the minus 5?
I did,
You plugged it in?
yeah. I plugged in 1 and negative 3 into y and
So
x.
we had y minus a negative 3 equals 2 times x minus 1. So that's what? Y plus 3 equals 2x minus 2. Okay. So now I have, that's equation 2. And equation 1 is y equal minus 1/2 x plus 5. How do I solve that? How do I solve the system of...
No, couldn't, eliminate.
If you have two equations and they're both equal to y, it's
Then
the
we
same
get
y,
one.
so they're equal to one another. So the way I'm going to solve it is to take the right side of the first equation and set it equal to the right side of the second equation. Okay? Now, I can multiply everything by 2. So I get minus x plus 10 equals 4x minus 10. And then I can move the x's around. I get 5x equals 20. So x equals 4. I would say that's the simplest one to use to figure out what y is. If x equals 4, y equals 2 times 4 minus 3, or excuse me, minus 5. There's my solution. That's where the two lines cross. So my answer is 7. Hold on.
Wait, they cross at 7?
Yeah. No. If this thing says, if
Yeah, I see what it is.
intersect at a comma b, which in our case is x comma y, what's the value of a plus b? Well, x is 4, y was 3, so x plus y is 7. Understand?
Yeah.
Let's look at number 2. God, there's got to be a way to get rid of this thing. I wonder how. Not that we need to here. Let me blow it up just a little bit. So in the system of equations, those two equations, A and B are constants. If the system has infinitely many solutions, what is the value of A times B? So, first of all, how do you get two equations? If I said this to you, x plus y equals 10, how many solutions are there to that? Just x
10.
plus y equal 10. No, there's
10.
actually infinite because x can be negative also.
Oh.
Okay, so whenever you have two variables in one equation, you always have an infinite number of solutions. Well, if I were to add a second equation that is strictly a multiple of the first, like this, now I have a system of equations that has infinitely many solutions. Okay? You with me?
Yeah.
So, in order for this system in number 2, in order for that to have infinitely many solutions, one of the equations has to be a multiple of the other. Well, what would A and B have to equal so
3.
that, correct. Well, A is what?
3. Just 3 times
The
3.
second
Oh, no.
is 3 times bigger than the first equation. So A has to be 1/3 of 6, right? So A has to be 2, B has to be what?
3.
So A times B is equal to 6. Now, let's see. I guess we can do this in trial and error, huh?
Yeah.
Have they given you a technique for coming up with the solution set other than graphical? I'm familiar with the graphical way to solve that. In other words, you graph it and you shade which region and whichever area. Yeah, it's hard to define the solution set. Think about that for a minute. If I had something like this, where I had a line like that, and I had another line like this, and this area here was the solution set, how do you define that algebraically? Only by these two inequalities. There's no way to define this algebraically that I know of, other than by doing it exactly what they've done. Y is less than x plus 4. Y is also greater than minus 2x minus 5. So what that does is defines some two-dimensional area on a plane. So if we want to know if this number is in that solution set, we'll just try them. Is minus 2, 6 fit? Heck, start with, if it doesn't pass this inequality, then it's not in that solution set. In other words, one of these answers has to fit both of those. Does the first one? Does A fit equation 1?
No.
Okay, we can rule it out. How about B? Does it fit equation 1?
Yes.
Does it fit equation 2?
No.
How about C? Does it fit equation 1?
Yes.
Does it fit equation 2?
No.
When x is 2, we've got -4 minus 5, which is -9, and 6 is greater
Oh, yeah.
than -9. So we found our solution. So all we have to do is find a set of points that gets through both of those. Hold on. Get that page, and then let me... Perfect. Except for that thing there. Got to be a way to close that out. It's just randomly coming and going. Okay, this is an interesting word problem. B and C represent the price per pound in dollars of beef and chicken X weeks after July 1st. What was the price per pound of beef, which is B, equal to the price per pound of chicken? So what's my equation going to look like? They're basically saying what?
Aren't they the same?
When is B equal to C? Well, let's solve it. When is B equal to C? How do I solve that? What I have to solve for is X. Because when it was equal is X weeks after July 1st. So once we solve for X, then we'll know what B is. We'll be able to solve for B. But we have to solve for X. So if I'm looking for where B is equal to C, how can I write that? What's
2.35 equals 1.75 plus 0.40x.
Okay, now solve that. Which way are you going to go? Are you going to go with the variable on the left or the right side?
Hold on, let me...
Read the next line to me. Don't just come up with a final answer. I want to see how you work through these equations.
I
want to take my variable to the right or the left, and the number to the right, because it stays positive that way, right?
Yeah.
So after I subtract 0.25x from both sides, I've got that. And I'm going to take all my numbers to the left. After I subtract 1.75, I got that. So what's x equal to?
.04.
And that's b. So when x is 4, that's $1. So b would be 335. It would be 235 plus a quarter times 4.
Wait, so the first equation was C? Or was it all of...
No, the first equation that I circled was b. This part over here is c. Notice that the question only asks what is b. But you have to solve for x before you can figure out what b is. And by equating b to c, when the price of beef, which is B, is equal to the price of chicken, which is C. And that is going to occur when what I have circled is equal to what I have in the square. That gives you an X of 4. Now let's go back and figure out what the price per pound of beef is when X equals 4. And 4 means 4 weeks after July 1st. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Not convinced Windows 10 is an improvement. Certainly not for tutors or people that use Windows the way I do. It's a lot more troublesome. Okay, number 5. A food truck sells salads for $6.50 and drinks for $2. Food truck's revenue from selling a total of 209 salads and drinks in one day was X amount of dollars. How many salads were sold that day? What's the first step in all word problems? Most important step in a word problem that most people forget to do, and it's what makes most people dread word problems.
Find what you're trying to find.
Yes, define your variable. Not just what you're trying to find, but you define your variable. We're going to end up having to set up an equation or two, right?
Yeah.
Well, we want to define our variable. Now, they're only asking about salads, but I know there's two variables. There's how many salads were sold and how many drinks. So let's make S equal the number of salads, and I think it's important to define it that way. And D equals to the number of drinks. And the reason I say that is because if you just say S equals salads and D equal drinks, then are you talking about the cost of each one, or are you talking about the number that were sold? Well, this whole problem has to do with the numbers, how many salads were sold. They want to know the number of salads sold. So, what equation is going to give me the second sentence? Two equations.
Would it be 6.5 plus,
Hold it.
wait, S
Okay.
plus 2D equals 836.50.
Yeah, because you get your revenue by multiplying the price times the number you sell. In other words, if I sell S number of salads and each one of them is for $6.50, that revenue is what that's equal to. And I add that to my drink revenue and I get my total revenue. Now, that alone does not allow me to solve the problem because I got one equation and two variables. So let's look for another equation. What other equation can I write from the same sentence?
Oh, you can do 6 point, oh wait, no. Oh,
How many total salads and drinks did they sell?
209.
So how can I write an equation that says that?
But we'd still have 2 if I did 6.5S plus,
Hold on.
oh, but it's how much?
It's just the number of salads plus the number of drinks equals 209. In other words, that's what that sentence says. They sold a total of 209 salads and drinks. Not 209 salads, but 209 combination salads and drinks. So there's my second equation. Okay. Now, What's the best way to solve that system of equations right there?
You could multiply it by -2,
Which one?
right? And do elimination.
Okay, so I'm going to multiply the equation 2 by -2.
Yeah.
Now what? You're correct that we're going to do elimination, but how do you get one of the variables eliminated?
You have to then cross it off because it's 2D
You have
and
to add
negative.
two equations. That's the key word. You can always add any two equations. If I tell you that a plus b equals c and that x plus y equals z, then I can add those two equations such that a plus b plus x plus y equals c plus z. I can always add or subtract any two equations. Well, if I add these two equations together, one of the variables goes away. So what's the result? I'm going to add equation 1 to equation 2. What do I get down here?
You get 4.5s equals, what's that?
That is 418.50. Now, divide that by 4.5. You have a calculator?
Yeah.
Okay. And if we don't get a whole number, we're in trouble, right?
Yeah, it was 93.
Okay. But if we made a mistake in our math, that's where it would show up. Is that we would get an answer something like 93.2. Well, that tells us we made a mistake. So always look for a whole number in this kind of a situation where you know you don't sell half a salad. So everything has to be in integers. All right. Quade, let me just take a quick peek at the my calendar here. Let's see, you guys canceled on Wednesday, so I got you down for Thursday at 3:30, right?
Yeah.
Talk to you then.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.